Welcome back to another episode of the unofficially titled show Arena Watch, where we talk about how fucking shit is the economy on Arena, and is it really worth getting involved with? So let's start with, the topic of these videos is this, the Explorer Anthology and the Historic Anthology. These have just launched on Arena. They launched, I believe, on the same day. Yep, I just checked my notes, it was a same day release, which is a weird thing, but we'll come more to that in a moment. So what are these two products? The Explorer Anthology 1 is a selection of cards going into Explorer, Explorer being Pioneer Light. It is Pioneer on the MTG Arena client, but with not all the cards available at present. They are building towards it. One of the arguments that they have made continuously over and over, and they really double down on, is that putting Pioneer onto Arena is a difficult task that will take time. However, energy, resources, and assets have been devoted to putting other stuff on the platform that no one fucking asked for, like alchemy, or things into Historic as well, which is its own separate bag of chips. The Explorer Anthology has some interesting stuff in it. It has Tireless Tracker as a favourite of mine, as well as fan favourites and iconic cards like Siege Rhino and Supreme Verdict. It's getting us there, but there are some key things missing. Things like Eidolon or the Great Revels, for example, and other cards that would really open up certain archetypes in the format. I've not really been paying a huge amount of attention to Explorer, because if I was going to devote any energy to that, it'd probably be to Pioneer, the full-fat version of it. On the flip side, we have Historic Anthology 6, which is the 6th anthology, hence the name, going into Historic. Historic being basically every card that's available on the platform, barring a handful of things like Soul Rings and Mox and that were in promo events. It is a weird, eternal format where they've added old, non-modern legal stuff into it, so it does play significantly different to things like Explorer or Modern or Legacy. One of the big ones, for example, is that Muxus is a key player in the format, Goblins is good. Any format where Krenko is a playable and decent card is something that I'm interested in. The big problem with Historic as a format, if you didn't know, was that when they introduced Alchemy, which is digitally errata in cards, those cards are now digitally errata in Historic as well. That was the point where I stopped playing. Alchemy, I believe, was a complete shit show, and it's basically maybe not touched Arena since its launch, barring a few check-ins here and there, like today. I really liked Historic. I thought it offered a really interesting and different space to play, even if Muxus was a bit strong, for example, and a few other cards too. But now we have this weird thing where they keep changing cards. They have nerfed cards that I've spent wild cards on, Inspiring Captain, which was a digitally unique card itself, and Luminarch Aspirant are both two cards that I was playing quite a lot of, and they just nerfed them without wildcard refunds, and it fucking annoyed me. I'm still annoyed to this day that they've refused to actually acknowledge that they were ripping people off. Each of these anthologies are 4,000 gems each, or 25,000 gold. For the record, you can get 9,200 gems for 49.99 euros, or I assume 50 bucks as well, making each of these around $25 or 25 euros if you live in Europe, where we get ripped off more. That means that overnight they actually introduced $50 worth of staple packs into Historic itself, where obviously in Explorer only this pack is legal. I find that very strange that they decided to launch both on the same day. I wonder if it's in some attempt, and this is complete conjecture here, but to up active user numbers by hitting two formats on the same day in order to hit some sort of, I don't know, key performance indicator. Perhaps for this quarter they really want to show, but then we're not at quarter end. I just don't understand why you'd hit two formats on the same day, because it's just going to dilute the player pool across two different formats. Of course, you could make the argument that Historic and Explorer have completely different player pools, and maybe that's true after they anthologized, or alchemized, should I say, alchemized Historic. Maybe that is the case. All of these cards, of course, become legal in Historic Brawl as well, but the thing that's really putting me off playing, and for the record, adding Chalice of the Void and Tireless Tracker to Historic and Ophiomancer and Phyrexian Metamorph, there's a lot of cards here that make me want to jump back in and play some unique brews and some different decks, and I have a soft spot for Historic when it was good, but the problem is I'm scared. I'm really scared, really scared of getting things alchemized. Chalice of the Void is already a card that seems to upset people in older formats. There are often people who will cry and bitch and moan that it's got an unfun play pattern in things like Modern, and especially in Legacy. Weirdly, Chalice of the Void is only good when the entire format or the majority of decks really skew towards an efficiency. So if everyone is playing just 1-mana spells, if everyone's playing traditional versions of Delver, you're going to get fucked by Chalice of the Void. If anything, it simply punishes and asks the wider metagame to not veer towards super hyper efficiency. I don't think it's going to be a problem in Historic, although I haven't played much Historic in recent times, so I could be wrong there, of course. But the interesting thing is that if it was a problem in Historic, this thing might get nerfed. It might be XX1, or it might only counter non-creature spells, and so on and so on. There's all these different things they could do to digitally errata and nerf this, and then no refund. I know you'll be buying it as part of an anthology, so you're kind of getting it at a discount already, but don't forget you're buying digital cards that have no real world fucking redemption anyway, so we're working with abstractions here. But the fact that they could nerf this, and then it's just a rare that I may no longer want to play because they can nerf it to the point of not being playable, and you get no refund for it, that bugs me to no end. And it's the main reason I don't really want to support Arena as a client or these formats. However, I should be making these videos and keeping abreast of Magic stuff because I am a Magic the Gathering content creator, and I will admit I will probably be picking these up and playing a bit of Historic and maybe some Explorer so I can have a bit more of an informed opinion of these things. But there's still a bitter taste in my mouth, and I'm still fearful to encourage people to buy into these things, to play these formats, even if I think Historic is cool. And Historic has been, even after the nerfs and stuff, where they're basically ripping me off and taking my wildcards away, Historic was still fun. The problem comes in whether they're ripping you off and how much you need to pay to have access to that fun. That's the other big fucking hurdle, right? So I am interested to see in the comment section below how many of you are actually excited for Explorer anthologies or Historic anthologies. Do you think it's a bit much? Did you buy both? Are you looking to play? And do you want to see content on this channel? In some ways, some of you may not want to dip your toe back into Arena until perhaps they make some steps towards making formats accessible or wildcards not disappearing from your account when they ban or nerf things, but do you want to live vicariously through me? Like, I make Legacy and at times vintage content and Commander content for expensive decks that people do not own or have, but people still enjoy. I want to know if you want to see Historic or Explorer content, or whether you'd rather I veer away from that. Let me know in the comment section below. Whether I make any more gameplay in these formats is yet to be seen, but I will continue to make videos where we look at what's happening with the economy and what's being added to Arena. Not only do I find it just interesting myself, but I want to keep people abreast of the situation. Thank you for watching. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. Smash that like button and don't forget to subscribe. I am literally less than 1,000 subscribers from 100k right now. And when I get to 100k, the CEO of Google will come to my house and give me a big bottle of milk and a silver plaque. Okay, the bottle of milk might not happen, but I will get a silver plaque. So please, for the love of fucking God, subscribe. Thanks for watching. See you all soon. Ta-ta for now.